Hi, thank you for joining us today. My name is Carl DePrado, and today we'll be talking about big ways small and medium-sized businesses can reduce their IT costs while increasing uptime and overall employee performance. Again, my name is Carl DePrado. I'm the owner and founder of A to Z Business IT. We're located right in Coscob, Connecticut. We support businesses in the Fairfield, Connecticut area, Westchester, New York, Bronx, Manhattan, and Bergen County, New Jersey, as well as some parts of Long Island. And this is a subject that is very passionate to us. We look at technology that if it's not working correctly, it can dramatically affect your business, and having the wrong technology is the most expensive thing to your business. And a little bit about myself. So I've been using computers shortly before I got out of college. I have dyslexia, and I was having problems passing my English composition, which was a requirement in my school. And even after taking the test a few times, I was still challenged with it. Um, at that point, I ended up taking a class, or not even a class, more of an elective that was offered for me to learn WordPerfect. So shortly after learning WordPerfect, I was able to compose my thoughts very quickly and effectively, at least enough so that I could just pass the basic composition requirements in my school. But that left an impression on me of how powerful computers are and how much they can do the heavy lifting that's required in most tedious tasks. So though in my first few jobs I didn't go in directly as a computer consultant or anything like that, I ended up running most of those companies' IT infrastructures to the point that when 2001 came, I ended up volunteering for a very large non-for-profit in Manhattan. And within a short period of time, I had started to building out their data center from scratch, and then going ahead and going ahead and running their day-to-day operations. We had over 125 users at that time, plus we had locations all throughout the United States and the world. So it was a pretty interesting job. It was great. I enjoyed it. But then I got married, and my part-time work at that time had actually started to become greater than my full-time work. So, meaning that I was making more income part-time than I was full-time. So, with that, I went ahead and opened up my own business, and we've been running since 2006. And today we'll be just talking about capital versus operational expenses. But I wanted, and I'm also the author of a book called How to Close More Deals While Your Competition is Battling I-95. And if you're in Connecticut, you know what a nightmare I-95 is. And if anybody would like a free copy of that book, I'd be glad to send you a PDF copy. You just go ahead and email me at carl at a to z businessit.com. That's a number two z at, I mean, eight, I'm sorry, Carl, C-A-R-L, at a number two z businessit.com. Sometimes I get a little tongue tied with my dyslexia, so thank you for sticking on there. So let's go ahead and address the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which almost every business owner that I speak to, it's the number one thought on their mind is how do I know what I buy today will be effective tomorrow? And for most small businesses, tomorrow is somewhere around 3, maybe 5 years in the future. And what they're looking at is, at that time, at that what we call end of life cycle, is that equipment still even going to be effective? What's my value return on that equipment? And how is that going to affect my employees' productivity? Because just because I got 3 years of life or 5 years of life, what is that last 6 months of life going to be looking like? Because is that meaning that I'm going to be able to get the same effect every day from that equipment, regardless of what day I am in that cycle? And typically with hardware, that's not the case. We all, it's like a new car. First few years, it might be riding great, but then we get to the last, we're on year 10, we start to see more repairs, more servicing, and start to see more downtime and more loss. So that's the questions that's coming up for most of our, most business owners is when does it, how long will I really have it? How long will it really be effective for me where I see the day one's productivity? Will it still be productive at the 3 year mark at the end of the 365 days of day three? And in most cases, That's not the case. So this is a term that I'm going to talk about: purchasing versus renting, or capital capex versus opex. And this can be a very complicated subject to talk about, and it's been the subject of books and TED Talks and everything else. But to put it very simply, it's purchasing versus capital expenditure versus renting, operational month-to-month expenditure. And to put it into a subject that we all know and have dealt with, most of us, it's purchasing or renting a car. So when we purchase a car, everything is on us. We're purchasing a car for a set amount of time. We may buy that with one down payment or in one point, or we may spread that out over 3 to 6 years. And we, but then all of the subsequent soft costs are on us, meaning if we have an update to, recall to the factory, we're going to have to go take care of that. If there is any repairs, oil changes, any, tires replacement, belts, hoses, that's on us as the owner of the car. Then we also have the flexibility. Well, maybe we bought a, four-door sedan, and it's Saturday, and we want to go ahead and basically it's a beautiful day, and it's just you and the missus, and you want to go ahead and take that on, get yourself a two-door sport convertible, and go ahead and run that run that on the highway. You can't do that because well, you can, but you're going to have to rent that vehicle. You're not going to be able to switch out your current vehicle on a purchase for those, for that weekend to a convertible in most cases, or at least not without an additional expense. Or if you wanted to off-road or you needed a pickup truck, you're going to have to augment that vehicle that you've purchased. Um, and so that's your typical situation with your rental cars. You rent the vehicle, you pick it up, you drive it. At the end of the day, you don't even have to park it. You can just give it back to them. So you may not even need a parking space depending on how you're doing it. You may either rent as little as by the hour, or you may be renting the whole process over the course of a year or a month, depending on what your situation is. And if you need one week, you need a four-door sedan, and then the next week you need a SUV, or the week after that you need a sports car or a compact car, or you need to go from one location and you go to a different city and you don't need it in the city you currently are. You just return that car, and when you fly to the new location, you just pick up a new car. So you have an incredible amount of flexibility with renting versus the purchasing. Now, in most cases, especially with cars, it's obviously much more cost effective to purchase the vehicle, which is why most of us purchase versus renting our cars. But from an operational flexibility, reliability situation, the rental has a lot of positive effects. Unfortunately, for the way cars are provided to us right now in the United States or throughout most of the world, purchasing is the best option just from a cost standard. But what if it weren't? And let me show you an example. In IT, we don't have to have those situations. So let's look at an IT purchase CapEx versus an IT rental OpEx. In this case, I'm only going to use one case. It's a small business with 30 employees. Now, your business may be 3 to 5 people. It may be, a couple hundred people. And so obviously your capital expenses and your operational expenses will be different, but we're just using this model for illustration purposes only. So we're going to take a typical 30 employee small business, and that could be a law firm, a accounting firm, a doctor's office, a financial firm. Um, we get, in the COSCOP area, we get a lot of VC, venture capitalists, private banking. Um, and so let's say that they have two servers. One's just a file server, or maybe it has Active Directory. The other server may be running some business line of application. They got 30 desktops. They got a firewall. And what we're going to do is compare 3-year costs of having that equipment, the purchase versus versus the rental, or the capex versus the operational expense. So the equipment on that is going to be somewhere around a little under $90,000, because you're going to have you're going to have a lot of labor as far as doing a new refresh or build out on the servers. You got to transfer over all that data. You got to add the new licenses into the equipment. So you're around 30,000, you're around $89,000 conservatively on that. Your offsite backup, that's going to run you, if we're just taking, I just took out of here service I don't use, but it's very popular, Carbonite for servers, and that's on the base price service level. You're at $800 per server per month, so that's $1,600 per month. Over 3 years, that's $57,000 and change. Then if we say, well, IT staff, and you say, well, wait a second, I don't have a full-time IT staff. Well, you probably have somebody that's trained, that knows how to, administer the computers, to add a user, remove a user. They may be writing out the shares. They may be deploying the computers. And let's say that they're making somewhere, $55,000 a year, and you figure out which in Connecticut or Westchester or this area, for somebody who's got some decent soft skills in computing, not necessarily an expert, is probably a very conservative. They may be doing other administrative tasks, but majority of their time, we're going to say somewhere around $55,000. Benefit package is going to bring them around $65,000 a year. Over 3 years, that's $95,000. I mean, $195,000 to operate that. And your 3-year cost on that is going to be almost $342,000 over the 3 years, or just a little under $9,500 a month if you could purchase it on a monthly agreement. Some of it you can, obviously, the offsite backup and the support, but that's what you're looking on your monthly over 36 months. Now, even after those 36 months, you're still going to have costs, because you're still going to have to, even if you don't do another upgrade, you're still going to have backups. You're still going to have some type of support staff, so you're going to still have a fixed cost on this. Now, if we look at the rental, and if we can look at that and see that the rental, well, the equipment's included, because basically in a cloud environment, we don't really care what the computer it's on is. So it can be a PC, it can be a Chromebook. The actual interface on the computer itself for the client doesn't need to be that powerful at all, because all the computing power is being done on the cloud side. So, and we could demonstrate that to you. It's really wonderful. But as long as you have just a decent bandwidth, you do not need a powerful machine at the user's end. Offsite backup, well, that's included. That's one of the beauties of this, which also prevents you from getting cryptoviruses and other situations, because everything is image backed up and being incrementally backed up. If some machine got infected, it really doesn't take us long to just re-image that machine within minutes and give them a brand new machine up and running, configured exactly as if it were done before. And then the support, well, that's included as well. So when you're looking at a 3-year cost, well, let me do monthly. Well, the monthly first is going to be on that particular configuration, and some are different or whatever, but that's including your office and all the other licenses. You're at just a little over $5,600 a month, so $5,607, and your 3-year cost for that is a little under $202,000 over 3 years. So that's saving you just shy of $140,000 over a 3-year period. Now, the other part that we didn't talk about is, let's say you've had an increase in company size of 20%, and you have to add 6 more employees. So all of a sudden, or you put out a new office. Well, on this model, we already know that based on your operational expenses, for this server, we're roughly about $188 per user per month for that, versus right now, just to give you a quick comparison, the capital expenditure, you're about $314 per user per month. But the other part of it that you're not looking, that's unique, is, well, that $188 per month employee, that if we need to get 6 more, we have a fixed cost. Better yet, we don't have to go ahead and deploy more machines and wait for them to come in and configure them. We could do this within minutes. Or on the other hand, let's say in that 30-person office, you lost a client for 6 months, or there was a change in a project, and you needed to or you're seasonal, you're 30 employees half of the year, and then the other half of the year you're down to 20. Well, you could take those 10 machines and you could basically have them you can go month to month on those and have those off of your system. So you have the flexibility of not having to have those machines paying for that equipment and to keep that equipment up and running. Um, so those are some of the advantages of the operate. You're getting basically all of the benefits of renting the car. Plus, the number one benefit of purchasing the car, which is a lower operational expense. So we know a capital expense is physical hardware, servers, desktops, and such. So what are we talking about then with a operational expense? Well, in this case for IT, we're talking about cloud. And so the first question is, what is a cloud? And a cloud is a network of servers. Each server has a different function. Some servers are used for computing power to run applications, such as email or video, such as if you ever go to YouTube, that's a cloud service. If you've ever uploaded a video, if you've ever used Gmail, that's a cloud service. Another cloud operation that you already, Dropbox is another one, or any other type of file, or box.net, or any of those type of applications that you'd get are already there. If you're using Pandora for streaming music, or Google Music, or Netflix, these are all cloud services. They're not being held locally on your machine. The resources are at other servers that are being streamed through to some type of device that you can locally access. And what's happened now is that this only used to be available to very large businesses. But now small and medium-sized businesses are in a position that they can actually use the resources of a cloud into a very positive manner. We're estimating 2.4 million on-premise servers will be moving over to the cloud in the next 3 years. And the reasons that they're going to move up is it's the new technology, the performance, reliability, scale. They're getting far more than what they can get on their current on-premise equipment. So one thing I know about business in general is most businesses don't like to change unless they have a good reason to. If they've been successful, why break up the formula? And so we're seeing a big sea change. And so why are we seeing this big sea change? Why is the cloud being available for what we call the small and medium business space? Well, it used to be that most cloud packages appealed basically to developers or enterprise users, like when you talk about AWS, Amazon Web Servers. But small and medium-sized businesses need more predictability and worry-free experiences. Typically when you go on to a larger cloud hosting provider, what they're paying you for is hourly bandwidth usage or machine usage. And in some cases, when you're working at a large enough scale, like anything else, those packages become a better package. Frankly, if you're in a company that's got 300 or 400 people working there, and you're you know what your bandwidth hours are, and can anticipate that, it might make a lot more sense to be on a paying by the unit than having an all you can eat. But for most small businesses, what they're looking for is predictable cost and being able to have a very stable, ready to use package. So what we make sure is that we have a 99.99% uptime and with a service level agreement. And we give you the monthly bandwidth allocations, because these are the things that you're really going to be looking for in your business. You're going to want to make sure that if you're putting something off site, that you can depend on it being available for you all the time. So this has been the biggest barrier for small and medium-sized businesses: predictable pricing. Cloud computing pricing has always been, up until recently, based on machine time, meaning how many instances and how much computing power was being pushed onto that one machine during the time that it was running. And this could all of a sudden give you what we call a month-to-month sticker shock, where one month you could be paying 3 or 4 times the monthly cost of what you were paying the month before. So the predictability of the costs become very uncontrollable and scare off a lot of companies from doing that. So what we do is we basically, instead of doing what we call a metered cloud, we're able to do a fixed monthly pricing. So it allows you to not worry about unexpected charges. This is truly the power of the cloud, is the configurability. Because of the virtual environment of the cloud and because it's on banks of servers, well, we could pretty much make your environment whatever you wanted. If you need some servers to be Windows based or you needed some servers to be Linux based or a mix of both, you can do that very easily on the cloud. If for some reason you wanted to all of a sudden scale up with a new application, you have a project that's only needed for 3 months, and you're just going to need a separate server to handle some type of data analytics or something, or business intelligence, we could spin this up very quickly and very affordably, and then have it go away. And then if you need, and so that you don't have extra hardware laying around. So it becomes a very cost-effective way of doing, of using your resources and controlling all of, and basically controlling your environment and having incredible flexibility. I don't know if many of you remember Speed Racer, but when I was a kid, he would drive this real fancy Formula One race car. And on his control panel, he had a little button that if you wanted to go faster, he'd just press the button and his speed would increase. Well, in the IT world, if you have physical on-premise machines, you really simply can't do that. If you have a server, let's say, needs to just be increased, let's say you needed to add another terabyte of storage and maybe another 16 gigs of RAM, um, you'd have to take that machine offline, put the RAM in, put the drives in, configure that, play the, work with the BIOS, restart it. So conservatively, you're looking at a half an hour to an hour of downtime. And in some applications, that's just not acceptable. That could be costing you thousands and thousands of dollars. In a cloud environment, it's as simple as pressing that little button on Speed Racer's dashboard, and all of a sudden we could add that 16 extra gigs of RAM and extra storage or bandwidth, um, depending on what your needs are, within minutes and no downtime. So let's sum the first part of it up, comparing cloud server, or what I call operational expense, to on-premise servers, or capital expense. On-premise servers can't match the best of breed infrastructure. Um, they're gonna, as far as the data centers or top tiered providers, you basically got almost 100% financially backed SLA. Cloud server data servers are audited yearly for compliance. With cloud servers and small businesses avoid regular capital outlay for their hardware and software, as well as the labor costs of building and maintaining solutions, while on-premise servers can take hours or even days to bring online. Our virtual machines, they can be running, within minutes. And so from that point of view, for a lot of small businesses, I'd say a great majority, now cloud has become a very good, if not best of breed, alternative to their current on-premise solutions. Well, like everything else in life, not all cloud services are the same. And so I just wanted to give you some things to think about here. Um, I'm not saying that there aren't other good guys out there. That would be foolish. This is a big industry, and there are a lot of players in this industry, and some of them are very good. And unfortunately, like any emerging technology, over the last 5 years, we've watched businesses come and go. I've been in very large presentations for very large corporations where they weren't around the next year. So taking that into mind, I mean, we have a best of breed infrastructure, meaning that we're using the top tier equipment. I mean, I've known small IT firms just to use reused servers and just hosting some backup files and so forth. That's not what's in this case. We're using top tier data centers. They're all North American hosted. Um, they're basically your top of the tier infrastructure. So it comes in with the security, to just get a Type 2 SOX compliant data center is not a small feat by any means. I mean, we're talking security, we're talking redundant power supplies, we're talking about the ability to withstand fires, hurricanes, a lot of man-made, a lot of natural disasters out there. And that's why we can offer the 99.99% backed SLA. Um, and then, the other part of it was, with the labor costs, our VMs are up and running. And some people might be calling them a data center, but are they really truly a data center where they can go ahead and spin up a new VM within minutes of something you were currently working on if they had to duplicate it? I know this can get complicated But what you want to know is that the people that you're working with have the bandwidth, give the capability, and the history to take care of that for you. So free migration and support. We include a support inside of our migration when we put somebody to the cloud. There's too many moving pieces out there that they should not, that you just want to focus on your business. But we include the migration. And migration's a cost that whether you're doing an on-prem or a cloud-based situation, most IT companies will charge you for that. And they'll charge you a lot to move your servers and your desktops and build and push them out to to either new local hardware or even to the cloud. We include that with our service. And if you're not up to speed, um, you're not happy with how it's working afterwards. After 30 days, we'll return you back to your previously were before on your premises of your server. We want you to be happy, um, and that's why we do a great deal of post-migration support. I mean, that's our blood, sweat, and tears. And our support staff here is here 24/7, 365 days to answer your call. Basically, either call or email. I mean, our calls, we answer our phones live. You'll be picked up within 60 seconds, and we return our emails within an hour. So whatever the situation, we're here to support you and make sure that this is the best overall experience for you. And to find out more, just contact us 203 489 2532 or email us at cloud at a to z businessit.com. That's cloud at a to z businessit.com. Um, love to hear your feedback. Again, my name is Carl DePrado. Thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to go ahead and reach out to us. Thank you.